So we're going to see a very different world as he, is getting his team ready. What's pretty amazing, though, is that most of his team are independently wealthy people that don't need to be here, do not need to be doing it, but I think kind of feel like they have a calling on their life for the moment that we find ourselves in. And so what's interesting is if you think about, this transition team and what's coming together, I think that they are going to have to look at quite a number of things. We have a spending that is out of control right now. When President Trump left office, we were sitting at about, $24 trillion.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, elections come and go, but the bureaucracy, Washington, D.C., the swamp is forever. Well, what effect is it going to have on the markets, your investments, the dollar, interest rates going ahead? David Stryzewski, well-known financial expert with us now. David, hey, welcome back. So election came, worked out pretty much exactly the way I was anticipating. And here we are the next day, new sheriff in town.
Yeah, we do have a new sheriff. That's, I think, a good way to put it. So because of the very drastic difference between the two campaigns and the two candidates, it was going to go one way if we had a Harris presidency and another way if we have a Trump presidency. And what's amazing is watching what the markets are doing right now. I mean, this is the stock market is going off the charts, and the crypto market is going through the roof right now. Although metals have pulled back, this is very positive for oil. This is very positive for the United States, and ultimately, I think that there's a new revaluation that's going to be coming to various asset classes as we continue to progress forward here into the future.
So you think it really changes that much, but we still have a huge deficit. We've got astronomically increasing debt, geometrically increasing. We've got wars breaking out or ready to break out all over the place. Is Trump the one to bring sanity to what is quite obviously an insane world?
Well, I think that his track record last time was that he neutralized even what was going on in North Korea, and he did it with some unconventional ways, including when people were even coming over the border from Mexico. He did the Remain in Mexico program and said, "Hey, sorry, Mexico, if you keep sending people, we're going to actually just cut off our aid to you going forward." And the flow stopped. So we're going to see a very different world as he is getting his team ready. What's pretty amazing, though, is that most of his team are independently wealthy people that don't need to be here, do not need to be doing it, but I think kind of feel like they have a calling on their life for the moment that we find ourselves in. And so what's interesting is if you think about, this transition team and what's coming together, I think that they are going to have to look at quite a number of things. We have a spending that is out of control right now. When President Trump left office, we were sitting at about, $24 trillion. I was concerned about it back then. It took us 250 years as a nation to get that money to rack up that debt. And since then, we've added $12 trillion. 4 years. This is a runaway freight train. It's got to be stopped. We're at risk right now of Moody's, which is the third rating agency, downgrading the United States from AAA rated to AA rated because of political stalemate and GDP issues. We're at the same levels of debt to GDP as we were at the end of World War II, but it seems like we're literally at the beginning of a WW3. And so we'll see what President Trump and his team have the ability to do. I believe probably negotiations and things are taking place now, trying to de-escalate. But this is something that the Biden and Harris administration were unwilling to even have a conversation about, and that was peace. And so they would rather just fight a war, I guess, and send our sons and daughters off to another Afghanistan. And hopefully that turns out better next time. That's the definition of insanity.
Hey, it reminds me of that book by P.J. O'Rourke called Give War a Chance, which was, in case you didn't know, of course you know, but you listening, in case you didn't know, that is actually a little bit of a satire. That was P.J. O'Rourke's mastery, his ability to bring satire out of the most distressing topics imaginable, right? And here we are, huh?
Well, I'd say, having a little bit of humor in some of the painful places is a way that we can navigate it. I think it's important to actually talk about something, even if you do it in a humorous way. It kind of makes a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. So there are a number of ways of doing things like that as leaders, you then bring people along with you. I'll just say one other thing that I think is just really positive about where we are. This is an America First president. And so what we're going to see is the United States get back to manufacturing again. I'm very excited about this because this is jobs that we desperately need. These are jobs that are going to be reshoring, friendshoring. And, the United States is a place that we end up manufacturing things cleaner and safer than anywhere in the world, but we've not been able to do it cheaper. Here's the good news. We've been developing, and I've been actually having conversations with engineers that have actually successfully taken companies from China, reshored them back in the United States for the same cost and the same pricing. How in the world were they able to do that? They've developed more efficient ways of doing the assembly line. They've developed more efficient ways of getting things done and accomplished. In a Chinese type of a system, they are not as interested in, being as fast, and the people are just kind of, there for a very low wage. This is not something that they're doing out of a passion. Here in the United States, we have a different motivation. We earn money. We get a house. We have a family. You can be your own king of your own castle here in the United States. A very different idea. And so what I think is going to happen is you're going to see America begin to get strong again. We're going to see, some of these permits open up, and we're going to see more oil. We're going to see, more lithium and metals that are very important, like gold and silver, to be mined here in the United States or in the North America continent. So you're going to see also the world do some tariffs. Now, the United States is leading in those tariffs. My one concern is that the rest of the world looks at the U.S. dollar. If we don't get this under control, going back to your point, if we don't get this under control, the world says, hey, you know what? We're going to create our own system. Putin announced it a couple of weeks ago, talking about this BRICS dollar, and they're going to have it backed up by 40% gold, 60% what their GDP is, and that they trade amongst one another. And they're looking to de-dollarize and no longer use the U.S. dollar. Why? Because our answer to all of life's problems is quantitative easing. I believe that there's a banking challenge coming. I think that we've got a lot of issues here for this administration to be figuring out, and they're going to have to do it really fast because the brakes could be hit and the data all shows up at one moment. And so if these BRICS nations come out, they got their own version of a dollar, and the U.S. has to print. Well, that's a very inflationary moment that we would find ourselves in, and I think that's the world's response to our sanctioning them. Well, they sanction our money.
Yeah.
And they say, because it's not backed by something. So this is my fear. So I'm giving you a speculation here and something to be thinking forward. The good news is that President Trump is a great negotiator, and people just don't understand him. They think because he makes extreme statements that he's such an extreme person. He's just trying to get you off your number. You have to understand the art of negotiation. But the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act were a massive win for corporations, and they would have been a massive negative going away in 2 years. Now that he's going to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And I said this in 2018. I'm going to say this again. This is the single greatest opportunity in any of our adult lifetimes to reduce or eliminate taxes on our retirement dollars. What am I meaning? Standard deductions have doubled. So as long as you got a pulse and can fog a mirror, you don't need to itemize, and the amount that you pay zero on is doubled. These ordinary brackets are reduced in significant ways. But here's the point. That was going to go away in 2 years.
Sure.
We have to affect these things like our Roth conversions by the end of a calendar year. So here we are on November 6th, and we've got just, a little over a month and a half to do this. And most of these organizations aren't going to take that trade to the very end. So you got to affect these things now. There's 101 different ways to do it. People need math and science. I want to encourage them. The tail that wags the dog in the future is taxes. Because of this deficit spending, it's out of control. And if we want to protect ourselves, I'm just saying, grab a life vest right now. Make your plans here today. This is the one area of planning, tax diversification, that most people have never paid attention to.
Hey, so what about his concept of doing away with the income tax altogether?
And going with like a flat tax or something?
Or a consumption tax, or tariffs and a consumption tax. Is he going to be able to do this?
I don't know. It tends to be that when you get into to moments of political races, that a lot of promises are made, a lot of ideas are brought out. The ones that have that catch the most, you end up trying to implement. I don't know how you take and scrap a tax code, and I got it. It's about this thick, and these books are heavy and big.
Yeah.
And as an attorney, when you've got so many attorneys that have written all these laws, how easy is it to undo all those laws from all those legal angles? It's pretty challenging. I wouldn't think that they're going to get that done. I think that you're going to just find efficiencies. You're going to see Elon Musk come in, and he's going to be, finding efficiencies in the government. I mean, for the first time, we're actually having a conversation about that. And what an important idea. Because here he took X and he's running it with about a third of the staff as before, and he's doing more than X has ever done. And so, what an awesome way of innovating, bringing AI in, doing some of the right stuff. The point here, the United States, cleaner and safer, but hey, we need to get our prices down. So we're going to do it cheaper, but it's going to be a more expensive world going forward. But those who have assets right now, I think that this is a great time because you're going to be able to capitalize in a wonderful way. Just be careful about getting just too heavy and over concentration on tech. I just feel like that is a flaw, and I'm looking for opportunities to be buying in on things like metal miners. And if I'm looking at metals here today, Kerry, that is a gift. Silver right now is at a 40% discount to its all-time high of $50. Yep. Well, gold is just sitting near its all-time high, 85-to-1 ratio today. I mean, I'm spitting so many things at you because here's the roll of information that's all coming at us, and that we need to interpret all at once. But 85 ounces of silver for 1 ounce of gold. The mining ratio is 9-to-1. And so I personally believe that silver is the most undervalued asset in the world. It's about to be revalued. It's going to go through the roof. And I have heard you say it several times. There's a monster box or 500 ounces worth of silver inside of a Tomahawk missile.
Right.
Whether you're talking about war, whether you're talking about solar panels, whether you're talking about the need to make nuclear plants or just connect, the chips on your phone to make electronics work, you need silver to connect the dots. It's got a commercial function that is necessary for our future. The world's going to need it. It's going to go up significantly.
Yep, no doubt. You are correct. Totally agree with you on that. But what about the broader market? I know tech, you say beware of, but what other stocks are going to benefit from the next Trump regime?
Well, a lot of the organizations that have overregulated and maybe have potentially played for the other side a little bit too much in prior elections, they may not do as well with some of the lawsuits that we've seen Europe even assigned to them based upon their conduct. And so, it'd be interesting. I think that as you're looking at the world of AI and you're looking at the world of big tech, some of the big players are for sure going to win. I don't think Microsoft's going anywhere. I don't think Apple's going anywhere. But I'd say pay attention to people like Warren Buffett, who right now are stacking their chips and they have more cash right now than ever before. I believe in buying when things go on sale. And so I believe that there's going to be crisis. I feel like yesterday kind of went too smooth, went too easy. I feel like there's probably something else coming before the January 2025 transition.
Yes.
I've heard little whispers of pundits on television saying we can't allow a felon to be president on January 6, 2025. January 6th is a day in our history. And you know what? There has been a serious weaponization of days and times and different things.
Yeah, I know, but
he spoke. And that judge who ran his campaign on putting this guy in jail. You judged a situation before you ever showed up for trial. We understand what this looks like. It's not going to be. It's going to be overturned. Those were silly ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just don't see really any way to stop them from going in there. It's just never going to happen. No.
Well, the only other
all they like, but it's never going to happen.
Right. Well, the only thing that's a factor right now that I think that we've not necessarily played in. We have about 10 million plus people that have recently crossed the border. These are not just people
newcomers.
Yeah, that's right. And 1 in 4, to my understanding, are Chinese military-aged men that have a completely different camp and a completely different way of getting there. And they don't want to communicate with you about what they're doing here and why, where everyone else is like, we're fleeing because of inflation, no jobs, poverty, etc. And so we could have ourselves an infestation. Instead of terrorist attacks, it could be an infestation of stuff. We could have cartels that are serious murderers and terrible people attacking police stations and terrible things. I just think back to the summer of 2020, and I'm just wondering, when does that violent part start? Because it seems like it's probably getting pretty close, especially if deportations, for those who are especially not doing the right things show up.
All right. Well, there's definitely cause for concern for sure. Like nobody ever explained why they all wanted to be here. But we're just going to have to see what happens, what's going to happen next. But like everything else, it's danger and opportunity. David, tell us, where do we find you? How do we connect with you on the web?
Yeah. So my company is called Sound Planning Group. We're trying to help people make sound planning decisions. myspg.com. And on there, we've got a number of resources and things. And Kerry, in this new year 25, I'm going to be coming out with what does the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act mean to you now that it's extended? I'm going to be coming out with big things that are changing right now in Medicare. 2025 is the biggest change that we've seen in Medicare. I've been in the industry, and then we're going to be talking about how do we allocate inside of our portfolio today? How do we ride bulls and tame bears? The goal is 70 to 80% gain while missing 70-80% of the pain. So it's fun. The world's changing, and there's a lot of folks out there that just don't know where to go, what to do.
Yeah, so true. All right. Well, hey, appreciate as always you coming on, David, sharing your knowledge with us. And link is in the show notes to this interview to David's site. And while you're there at financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up for your free newsletter, like 50,000 other FSN community members, and we will get you good info out there like this. So, David, I hope you're right. We will talk to you again soon. Thanks for stopping by.
Appreciate you, Kerry. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.